I was 17 the day a single piece of cardstock worth $6.50 hijacked my entire summer, turned my coffee can savings into a golden ticket, and made Elvis Presley look straight into my soul from a balcony seat in 1972 Memphis. Sit back, put your feet up, grab a hot drink. This story will take you back to the good old days where everything made sense. Summer of 1972 arrived like a soft blanket, warm and familiar, the kind that made you want to stretch out on the porch swing and let the afternoon drift by. I was 17 that June, tall for my age, with sun-bleached hair from mowing lawns, and a pocket full of nickels and dimes that jingled like tiny wind chimes every time I walked. My name's Ruth, though back then folks just called me Ruthie, and I lived in a little white house on Maple Street with the green shutters Mama painted every spring. The screen door squeaked something awful, but we liked it that way. It announced company before they even knocked. It was a Tuesday, I remember, because Tuesdays were when Mr. Jenkins paid me 50 cents to cut his grass. The mower was an old reel type, the kind you pushed with your whole body, and the smell of fresh-cut clippings clung to my cotton dress like perfume. I'd just finished the last row along the sidewalk when Mrs. Henderson waved from her porch rocker, holding out a mason jar of lemonade with 2 ice cubes bobbing like little boats. "You're a good worker, Ruthie," she said, her voice papery but kind. "Don't let the heat get you." I thanked her, took a long sip, and felt the cold slide all the way down to my toes. By the time I got home, the sun was hanging low, painting the sky the color of peach preserves. Mama was on the front steps, shelling butter beans into a tin bowl, the pods snapping open with soft pops that sounded like distant firecrackers. She wore her faded floral house dress, and the straw hat Daddy brought back from the war, the one with the tiny hole where a moth had nibbled the brim. When she saw me, she smiled the way only mamas can, half proud, half worried, and held up a small white envelope. "Special delivery, honey," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "Came while you were at the Jenkins. Looks important." I set the mower against the porch rail and took the envelope with grass-stained fingers. It was heavier than regular mail, the paper thick and creamy, the kind the 5 and dime save for wedding invitations. My name was typed in neat black letters across the front. Miss Ruth Ellen Carter. No return address, just a faint postmark from Memphis. My heart did a little skip, the way it did when the radio announced a new Elvis single. Inside was a single ticket, not flimsy paper, but stiff cardstock that felt official, like something you'd frame. The ink was still sharp, smelling faintly of fresh print and possibility. Elvis Presley, Memphis, Mid-South Coliseum, Saturday, July 15th, 1972, 8:30 p.m. Balcony seat C14. Below that, in smaller letters, presented by WHBQ Radio, $6.50. $6.50. I'd been saving for months, ever since Daddy let me take the early shift delivering the commercial appeal. Every morning at 5:30, I'd ride my Schwinn with the wire basket, tossing papers onto porches while the street lamps still glowed. The money went into an old Maxwell House coffee can under my bed. 65 dimes, 2 quarters, a handful of nickels that clinked like tiny bells when I shook it. I'd counted it twice the night before, whispering the numbers like a prayer. $6 even, $6.20, $6.50, just enough. I'd planned to skip the Saturday matinee at the Malco to make it stretch. But here it was, the ticket, in my hand. Real as the lemonade still cooling my throat. I must have stood there a full minute, barefoot on the warm boards, staring at those black letters until they blurred. Mama set her bowl of beans aside and came to stand beside me, her shadow falling across the envelope like a protective wing. "Well, I'll be," she murmured, reading over my shoulder. "Looks like somebody up there's been listening to your prayers, Ruthie." I didn't answer right away. Couldn't. My throat felt thick, like I'd swallowed a peach pit. All those mornings folding papers in the dark. All those afternoons pushing that heavy mower under the Tennessee sun. They'd added up to this one piece of cardstock. I ran my thumb over the raised lettering, feeling the tiny ridges where the press had bitten into the paper. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever held. Daddy came around from the backyard then, wiping his hands on a rag that smelled of gasoline and cut grass. He'd been tinkering with the Ford, trying to coax another year out of the old thing. "What's all the commotion?" he asked, squinting against the sunset. Mama handed him the ticket without a word. He read it slow, lips moving like he was sounding out a foreign language, then let out a low whistle. "Elvis, huh?" He handed it back, but his eyes were soft. "Saw him at the Overton Park Shell back in '56. Nearly blew the roof off. You'll need your good shoes, Ruthie, and maybe that yellow sundress with the white trim." I nodded, still too stunned to speak. The yellow sundress was my favorite, bought on sale at Goldsmith's with my first full paycheck. I hadn't dared hope I'd wear it to something as grand as an Elvis concert. That night, after supper, pinto beans and cornbread, with sliced tomatoes from the garden, I sat on my bed and stared at the ticket under the glow of my bedside lamp. The room smelled of ivory soap and the lavender sachets Mama sewed into my pillowcases. My transistor radio, a sleek red Panasonic with a silver dial, hummed softly on the dresser, tuned to WHBQ. The DJ was spinning Burning Love, Elvis's voice cutting through the static like a warm breeze. I turned the volume low, just enough to hear the chorus, and laid the ticket on my quilt like it might vanish if I blinked. Outside, the cicadas were singing their summer song, a steady drone that rose and fell with the breeze. Fireflies blinked in the pecan tree, tiny lanterns against the dark. I traced the edge of the ticket with my finger, feeling the slight roughness where the perforations began. Balcony seat C14. I'd never sat in a balcony before, never been anywhere fancier than the Ellis Auditorium, and that was only for the senior prom. I thought about the girls at school who'd be green with envy. Betty Lou with her feather earrings, Peggy who collected Elvis posters in a shoebox under her bed. They'd squeal when I told them, maybe even beg to come along, but this ticket was mine alone, earned with my own sweat and stubborn hope. Before bed, I slipped the ticket into the zippered pocket of my white vinyl purse, the one I'd bought at Cress's with my first paycheck. Then I knelt by the bed like I did every night, hands folded, and whispered a thank you to whoever had answered my coffee can prayers. The floorboards creaked under my knees, cool against my skin. Outside, a dog barked once, then settled. The world felt quiet and full of promise, like the moment before a record drops onto the turntable. I fell asleep with Elvis's voice still drifting from the radio, dreaming of spotlights and white shoes, and a night that hadn't happened yet, but already felt like the most important of my life. The morning after the ticket arrived, I woke before the sun, the way I always did when something big was on my mind. The house was still asleep, only the soft tick-tock of the West clock's Big Ben on the dresser and the distant crow of Mr. Thompson's rooster breaking the quiet. I lay there under my chenille bedspread, eyes fixed on the ceiling where moonlight painted silver stripes through the slats of the blinds. My white vinyl purse sat on the chair by the window, the ticket safe inside its zippered pocket. I could almost feel it humming, like it carried its own little heartbeat. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Mama or Daddy. The floorboards knew my weight and only sighed once as I padded to the closet. There they were, my white saddle shoes, lined up neat as soldiers on the shoe rack, Daddy built from scrap pine. They'd been my pride and joy since Easter, bought with birthday money from Aunt Clara. Real leather, not the cheap vinyl kind the other girls wore. The black saddle part was scuffed from square dancing at the rec center, and the white had gone dingy from walking the paper route in the rain. But they were still the prettiest shoes I owned, and they were going to carry me to Elvis. I carried them downstairs in one hand and the Griffin shoe polish kit in the other, Daddy's old army tin with the little lamb's wool dauber, and the familiar smell of wax and solvent that always reminded me of Sunday mornings. The kitchen was cool, the linoleum chilly under my bare feet. I pulled a chair up to the table, spread out yesterday's commercial appeal to protect Mama's oilcloth, and got to work. First, I wiped the shoes with a damp Jiffy cloth, the kind Mama bought in a 6-pack from the ANDP. The water turned gray as it lifted the dust and dried mud from the soles. I hummed under my breath, "Are you lonesome tonight?" letting the melody settle over me like a quilt. The white parts came clean easy enough, but the black saddles needed coaxing. I dabbed the polish on in tiny circles, the way Daddy taught me when I was 10 and wanted to shine his dress shoes for church. Slow and steady, Ruthie girl, let the leather drink it in. The wax smelled sharp at first, then warm and familiar, like the inside of Grandpa's old Ford when we'd drive to the lake. I worked in silence, the only sounds the soft shh of the dauber and the occasional creak of the house settling. Outside, the sky was turning from ink to pearl, and the first robin began its morning song. I pictured Elvis somewhere in Memphis, maybe eating breakfast in a big hotel, maybe running through songs in his head. Did he polish his own shoes, I wondered? Or did someone do it for him now that he was famous? When the black was glossy as a crow's wing, I switched to the white. Mama kept a little tin of Griffin's white cleaner just for this. It came out like chalky toothpaste, and I rubbed it in with an old toothbrush, watching the scuffs fade like magic. The shoes started to glow, the white bright enough to hurt your eyes in the early light. I buffed them with a clean rag until they shone, then held them up to the window. The sunrise caught the leather and threw tiny rainbows across the kitchen wall. I set them side by side on the newspaper, perfect twins, and felt a swell of pride so big it crowded my chest. These shoes had carried me through junior prom, through the county fair, where I won a blue ribbon for my peach preserves, through the day Daddy let me drive the Ford for the first time, and now they'd carry me to Elvis. Mama's appeared in the doorway, hair in pin curls under a scarf, holding a cup of Maxwell House that smelled like heaven. "Lord, child, it's not even 6 o'clock," she whispered, but her eyes were soft. She set the coffee down and knelt beside me, running a finger over the polished toe. "They look brand new." "They have to be perfect, Mama. It's Elvis." She smiled, the kind that crinkled the corners of her eyes. "I reckon they will be, but you'll need breakfast first. Can't meet the king on an empty stomach." She fried bacon in the cast iron skillet, the sizzle filling the kitchen like music. I ate at the table in my nightgown, shoes still drying on the paper, watching grease pop and dance. Daddy came down in his overalls, hair combed back with Brill cream, and ruffled my head. "Those shoes will blind him from the stage," he teased, but he slipped me a shiny quarter. "For a Coca-Cola at the show. Don't spend it all in one place." After breakfast, I carried the shoes upstairs and set them on my dresser like trophies. The ticket went back in the purse, zipped tight. I spent the rest of the morning in a happy fog, ironing my yellow sundress with the white rickrack trim, pressing the collar until it stood crisp, folding my madras headband so the colors lined up just right. Every so often I'd glance at the shoes, catching their gleam in the sunlight, and feel that little skip in my chest again. By noon, the whole neighborhood seemed to know. Betty Lou rode over on her Schwinn Stingray with the banana seat, her ponytail bouncing. "Is it true?" she squealed, nearly falling off her bike. "You're really going to see Elvis?" I showed her the ticket, and she gasped like I'd pulled a rabbit from a hat. Peggy came by later with a Tiger Beat magazine, Elvis on the cover in a white jumpsuit, and we sat on the porch steps reading every word, sipping knee-high grape soda from glass bottles that left purple rings on our lips. The day stretched long and golden, the kind of summer day that feels endless when you're young. I helped Mama snap beans for supper, the porch swing creaking under us, the smell of honeysuckle drifting from the fence. Daddy tuned the Zenith console radio to WHBQ, and we listened to Elvis all afternoon. Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, Kentucky Rain. Each song felt like a promise. When the sun finally dipped low, painting the sky in peaches and pinks, I carried my shoes to the bathroom and gave them one last buff with a clean diaper cloth, soft as a cloud. They gleamed under the light, bright enough to see my reflection in the toes. I slipped them on, the leather cool against my arches, and took a few steps. They felt like dancing, like flying, like the whole world was waiting just for me. That night, I laid out everything on the chair: the yellow dress, the headband, the purse with the ticket, the shiny quarter in a tiny envelope so it wouldn't get lost. I fell asleep with the window open, the cicadas singing their lullaby, dreaming of a stage I hadn't seen yet, and a voice that would change everything. The week before the concert passed in a golden haze, each day stretching like taffy, sweet and slow. I woke every morning with the ticket's promise humming in my chest, a secret song only I could hear. The Maxwell House coffee can under my bed was empty now, its coins traded for a single piece of cardstock that felt heavier than gold. I'd check it twice a day, morning and night, unzipping the white vinyl purse, running my thumb over the raised letters, making sure it hadn't vanished like a dream at dawn. Wednesday brought a heat wave, the kind that made the air shimmer above the asphalt and turned the sidewalk into a skillet. I was on the porch swing, shelling peas with Mama, the metal bowl between us growing heavy with green pearls. The swing creaked in its familiar rhythm, chains singing against the hook Daddy had sunk into the rafter years ago. Mama wore her seersucker house dress, the one with tiny blue flowers, and her straw hat tilted low to shade her eyes. Every so often she'd pause to fan herself with a funeral home fan, cardboard on a wooden stick, Jesus on one side, the funeral home's phone number on the other. "Hot enough to fry an egg on the hood of the Ford," she said, wiping her brow with the hem of her apron. "You drinking enough water, Ruthie?" I nodded, though my mind was miles away, already in the Mid-South Coliseum, imagining the cool blast of air conditioning and the roar of the crowd. Mama reached into the frigid air on the porch. Daddy had rigged an extension cord so we could keep lemonade cold without traipsing inside, and pulled out a Tupperware pitcher beaded with sweat. The lemonade was her specialty, fresh lemons from the neighbor's tree, sugar dissolved slow over low heat, a pinch of salt, and a sprig of mint from the herb patch by the back door. She poured it into 2 jelly glasses, the ones with the faded grapevine pattern, and handed me one. The first sip was pure summer, tart and sweet, cold enough to make my teeth ache in the best way. I held it against my cheek for a moment, letting the chill seep into my skin. "Mama," I said, swinging my bare feet so the swing rocked gentle, "what was it like when you saw Elvis?" She smiled, the kind that reached all the way to her eyes, and leaned back against the cushion Daddy had sewn from an old quilt. 1956, Overton Park Shell. Your daddy and I were courtin' then. He'd saved up for weeks to buy those tickets. $2 apiece. Can you imagine? She shook her head, remembering. We rode the bus downtown, stood in line for an hour. I wore my pink polka dot dress and white gloves. Felt like a movie star. I pictured them young, Daddy in his pressed shirt, Mama with her hair curled just so, and felt a tug in my chest. Was he magical? Mama took a slow sip, eyes half closed against the sun. Magical's the word. The band started with that big drum, boom, 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 and the crowd went wild. Then Elvis walked out in that gold lame jacket, shiny as the sun itself. He didn't just sing, Ruthie, he moved, like the music was inside him and had to get out. Girls were screaming, fanning themselves with programs. I thought your daddy was going to have to carry me home. My knees were so weak. I laughed, imagining Mama swooning like the girls in the magazines. Did he look at you? She tapped her glass, thinking. Once, during Heartbreak Hotel. Our eyes met for just a second, but I swear my heart stopped. Your daddy teased me for weeks, said I was going to leave him for a rock and roll singer. She chuckled, then grew quiet. Course, I only had eyes for your daddy, but Elvis, he made you feel seen, like every girl in that crowd was the only one in the world. The swing creaked. A breeze stirred the wind chimes Mama hung from the pecan tree, little glass bottles that sang in soft, tinkling notes. I closed my eyes and tried to picture it. The stage lights, the gold jacket, the way Elvis's voice could wrap around you like a blanket. My lemonade was half gone. The ice melted into slivers. I swirled the glass, watching the mint leaf spin. "You nervous?" Mama asked, reading my thoughts the way only mothers can. "A little," I admitted. "What if I forget to breathe when he sings? What if I drop my program or trip in the aisle?" Mama set her glass on the porch rail and took my hand. Her fingers were cool from the lemonade, rough from years of gardening and scrubbing floors. "You'll breathe, honey, and if you trip, you'll laugh about it later. This night's yours. Don't spend it worrying." She stood and went inside, returning with a small blue velvet box. Inside was a delicate gold locket on a thin chain, tiny, no bigger than a nickel, engraved with a single rose. "My mama gave me this when I turned 16, she said, fastening it around my neck. "Wore it the night I saw Elvis. Figured it might bring you luck." The locket rested cool against my collarbone, a secret weight. I opened it. Inside was a tiny photo of Mama and Daddy on their wedding day, both smiling like the future was a sure thing. "It's beautiful," I whispered. "Keep it close," Mama said. "And remember, wherever you go, whatever you see, you carry us with you." We sat in silence then, just the swing and the chimes and the soft thump-thump of my heart. The sun dipped lower, turning the sky lavender and gold. Somewhere down the street, a Good Humor truck played its tinny tune, and kids shouted for ice cream. I finished my lemonade, the last sip sweet and minty, and felt the day settle into my bones like a promise. That night, I hung the yellow sundress on the back of my door, smoothed the rickrack trim, and laid the saddle shoes beneath it like they were waiting for Cinderella's ball. The locket gleamed on my dresser, catching the last of the light. I fell asleep with the window open, the cicadas singing their lullaby, dreaming of a stage I hadn't seen yet, and a voice that would change everything. Saturday, July 15th, 1972, dawned bright and sticky, the kind of Memphis morning where the air felt thick as sorghum syrup. I woke before the alarm, the West clocks on my dresser ticking like a patient heartbeat. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the window fan, pulling in the smell of cut grass and distant barbecue. My yellow sundress hung on the door, pressed crisp, the white rickrack trim glowing in the early light. On the floor beneath it, my saddle shoes gleamed like twin moons, polished to a fare-thee-well. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Mama. The floorboards knew my step, and only whispered once. In the bathroom, I washed with ivory soap, the bar worn thin from weeks of use, and brushed my teeth with Crest from the new flip-top tube. Daddy's pride and joy since the old powder got everywhere. I combed my hair with the goodie brush Mama gave me for Christmas, parting it on the side and securing it with the Madras headband Peggy lent me. Red, white, and blue plaid that matched the 4th of July spirit still lingering in the air. Downstairs, Mama had left a note on the Formica table. "Egg sandwich in the Frigidaire. Be safe. Love, Mama." The sandwich was wrapped in wax paper, the bread soft, the egg still warm. I ate it standing up, leaning against the counter, the gold locket cool against my throat. The ticket was in my purse, zipped tight beside Daddy's shiny quarter, and a bazooka comic for the bus ride. I checked the clock, 6:45. The MATA bus came at 7:15, and I wasn't missing it for the world. I stepped onto the porch in my sundress and shoes, the morning sun already warm on my shoulders. The neighborhood was waking slow. Mr. Thompson watering his roses, Mrs. Henderson rocking with her coffee, the Good Humor truck idling at the corner, its bell jingling like a promise. I waved to everyone, feeling like a bride on her way to the church. My purse swung at my side, the vinyl catching the light. 5 nickels clinked in the change pocket, one for the bus there, one for the ride home, and 3 extras just in case. The bus stop was 2 blocks down, under the big pecan tree where the roots buckled the sidewalk. I got there early, standing in the shade with my ticket clutched in one hand. The air smelled of tar and honeysuckle, and a mockingbird sang from the telephone wire. Other folks waited too. A colored lady in a nurse's uniform, 2 boys with Beatles haircuts smoking Lucky Strikes, an old man with a straw hat reading the press scimitar. I felt grown up, part of the Saturday morning parade. The bus pulled up at 7:12, a big blue and white GM New Look. Its brakes hissing like a tired dragon. The doors folded open with a groan, and the driver, a man with a crew cut and a Memphis Transit cap, nodded at me. "Mornin', miss. Downtown?" I dropped my nickel in the fare box, the coin clinking clear as a bell, and took a seat near the front. The vinyl was warm from the sun, sticking to my thighs, but I didn't mind. The bus smelled of diesel and pine sol, with a hint of someone's brute aftershave. We rolled down Poplar Avenue, past the Piggly Wiggly with its neon pig blinking sleepy, past the Quick Check where Daddy bought RC colas on Fridays. The city woke around us, Sun Records with its guitar sign, the Peabody Hotel where ducks marched in the lobby, the Steric building scraping the sky. I pressed my forehead to the window, watching the world slide by in a blur of Chevy Impalas and Volkswagen Beetles, ladies in cat-eye sunglasses, boys on Schwinn Stingrays. My reflection stared back, 17, wide-eyed, ticket in hand. At Union Avenue, the bus lurched to a stop, and more folks climbed aboard. A girl my age in a miniskirt and go-go boots sat across the aisle, clutching a tiger beat with Elvis on the cover. Our eyes met and she smiled shy. "You going to the show?" she whispered. I nodded, showing my ticket. Her name was Linda from Fraser, and she'd saved babysitting money for months. We talked soft about suspicious minds, about whether Elvis would wear the white jumpsuit, about how our mamas warned us not to scream too loud. The bus hummed along, windows down, letting in the breeze and the sounds of the city. WDIA playing from a car radio, a hot dog vendor calling, the clang of the Main Street trolley. I felt the ticket in my purse like a second heart, beating steady. Linda showed me her Elvis charm bracelet, each tiny guitar and microphone earned from chores. I touched the locket Mama gave me, feeling her love in the cool metal. We passed Overton Park, the zoo's lion house roaring faint in the distance, then turned toward Mid-South Coliseum. The building loomed ahead, round and white, its neon sign already flickering. Elvis tonight. My stomach flipped like a fish on a line. Linda squeezed my hand. "We're really here," she breathed. The bus stopped at East Parkway, and we stood smoothing our dresses. The driver tipped his cap. "Have fun, ladies. Don't let the king steal your hearts." We laughed, stepping onto the curb where the asphalt shimmered with heat. The Coliseum rose before us, banners flapping, the air buzzing with excitement, and the smell of popcorn and cotton candy. I looked back once as the bus pulled away, its taillights winking red. 5 nickels, 1 ticket, a yellow dress, and a heart full of dreams. The day was just beginning, and Elvis was waiting. The Mid-South Coliseum stood before us like a giant white drum, its curved walls catching the morning sun and throwing it back in soft, shimmering waves. Linda and I stepped off the curb, our saddle shoes and go-go boots clicking in unison on the pavement. The air was thick with Memphis heat, but a breeze carried something sweeter, fresh popcorn, buttery and warm, drifting from a red and white striped cart parked near the entrance. The vendor, a man in a paper hat and striped apron, turned the crank slow, the kernels popping like tiny firecrackers. "Get your popcorn, 50 cents a bag," he called, his voice blending with the hum of the crowd. Linda clutched her tiger beat, eyes wide as saucers. "Smells like the fair," she whispered, and I nodded, my stomach fluttering with more than hunger. The Coliseum loomed, its neon sign buzzing faintly even in daylight. Elvis Presley, tonight, 8:30 p.m. Banners flapped in the breeze, Elvis's face in bold black and white, his smile promising something magical. I touched the gold locket at my throat, feeling Mama's love steady me, and slipped my hand into my white vinyl purse to check the ticket one more time. Balcony seat C14, still there, still real. The sidewalk was alive with folks streaming toward the arena, a river of sundresses, madras shirts, and cat-eye sunglasses. Girls giggled in clusters, their beehive hairdos teased high, clutching Elvis scrapbooks and handmade signs that read, "Elvis, I love you," in glitter glue. Boys in penny loafers and crew cuts smoked Winston cigarettes, trying to look cool while sneaking glances at the girls. A family passed, Mama in a floral sheath dress, Daddy in a seersucker suit. 2 little boys waving tiny American flags left over from the 4th. The excitement was a living thing, buzzing like the cicadas back home. Linda tugged my sleeve. "Look!" She pointed to a souvenir stand under a striped awning, its table piled high with treasures. Elvis buttons the size of silver dollars, concert programs with glossy covers, scarves printed with his signature, and 45 revolutions per minute records in paper sleeves. A girl ahead of us bought a gold lame scarf, draping it around her neck like a queen. I had my quarter from Daddy, but I hesitated. $6.50 had taken months to save, and I wanted every penny for the experience, not trinkets. The popcorn cart was too tempting to pass. I handed the vendor my nickel, and he scooped a bag from the warmer, the paper crisp and hot in my hands. "Enjoy the show, miss," he said, tipping his hat. Linda and I found a spot on the low brick wall near the entrance, our legs swinging like kids at recess. The popcorn was perfect, salty, buttery, each kernel light as a cloud. We ate slow, savoring it, the grease leaving shiny spots on our fingers. "My mama says Elvis eats popcorn with his movies," Linda said, licking salt from her thumb. "Reckon he's eating some right now?" I laughed, imagining Elvis in a big hotel suite, a bowl of popcorn on his knee, maybe humming Burning Love. The thought made him feel closer, like he was just another person waiting for the night. Around us, the crowd grew thicker. A transistor radio blared WDIA, Elvis's voice crooning "In the Ghetto," and folks sang along, their voices rising soft and hopeful. A group of teenage boys practiced Elvis's hip shake, earning hoots from nearby girls. The Coliseum's shadow stretched long, cooling the pavement beneath our feet. I opened my purse and pulled out the bazooka comic I'd saved from last week's bubblegum. The joke was lame. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. But Linda giggled anyway, her laugh bright as the popcorn vendor's bell. We traded comics, hers featuring Archie and Veronica at the soda shop. And for a moment we were just 2 girls on a summer adventure, the weight of the world far away. The Coliseum doors weren't open yet. It was only 10 o'clock, hours before the show. But the line was already forming, snaking around the building like a lazy river. Folks spread picnic blankets on the grass, unpacking ham sandwiches in wax paper and thermos bottles of sweet tea. A lady in a pillbox hat passed out church fans, the kind with Jesus calming the storm. I tucked one in my purse, thinking of Mama. The popcorn bag was empty now, crumpled in my fist, but its warmth lingered in my memory. Linda nudged me. "What's it gonna be like, Ruthie, when he walks out?" Her eyes shone, reflecting the neon signs flicker. I closed my eyes, letting the moment wash over me. The popcorn's buttery ghost, the radio's faint static, the chatter of 1,000 dreams. "Like the whole world stops," I said. "Like nothing else matters but his voice." The sun climbed higher, turning the air shimmery. I licked salt from my lips and stood, brushing crumbs from my sundress. The line was moving now, folks folding blankets, gathering purses, drifting toward the doors. My heart skipped, a gentle drumbeat. The ticket in my purse felt alive, pulling me forward. Linda grabbed my hand, her go-go boots clicking. "Come on," she said. "Let's get closer." We joined the river of people, the popcorn cart's bell fading behind us. The Coliseum waited, its doors yawning open, ready to swallow us into a night of magic. I squeezed Linda's hand, felt the locket against my skin, and stepped into the stream, carried by the smell of summer and the promise of Elvis. The line for the Mid-South Coliseum curled around the building like a lazy python, folks chatting and fanning themselves under the July sun. Linda and I found our place near the back, our saddle shoes and go-go boots scuffing the pavement still warm from the morning. The popcorn cart was a distant memory now, its buttery scent replaced by aqua velva, cigarette smoke, and the faint tang of Coca-Cola spilling from paper cups. My white vinyl purse hung on my shoulder, the ticket safe inside, its edges soft from my constant checking. The gold locket Mama gave me rested warm against my collarbone, a quiet reminder of home. Linda pulled her red Panasonic transistor radio from her macrame bag, its silver dial glinting. "Let's see what's playin'," she said, twisting the knob until WHBQ crackled through. Elvis's voice filled the air. Suspicious minds, smooth as molasses, weaving through the crowd. Folks around us perked up, some humming, others swaying in their bell-bottoms and halter tops. A girl ahead with a peace sign necklace sang the chorus soft, her feather earrings dancing. I clutched my bazooka comic, its jokes forgotten, and let the music settle over me like a quilt. The line moved slow, folks shuffling forward every few minutes. I studied the Coliseum's white walls, its neon sign buzzing Elvis tonight, the letters bold against the sky. Banners flapped, souvenirs, tickets, no cameras. A police officer in a crisp Memphis PD cap leaned against a Plymouth Fury, sipping coffee from a styrofoam cup. Kids darted between legs, waving handmade signs. "Elvis, marry me," in glitter. The air was thick with excitement, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Linda nudged me, pointing to a souvenir stand nearby. Elvis buttons sparkled, his face in gold lame, his signature in cursive. Programs stacked high, glossy covers promising Elvis live in Memphis. Scarves dangled, white with blue tassels, and 45s of Burning Love spun on a portable player. My shiny quarter from Daddy burned in my purse, but I held off. "Maybe after," I said. Linda nodded, saving her dimes too. We inched forward, the shade of the Coliseum cooling our shoulders. My yellow sundress stuck to my back, the rickrack trim itching slightly. I fanned myself with the church fan from earlier. Jesus calming the storm, the funeral home's number in bold. A lady behind us, in a muumuu and cat-eye glasses, offered peppermint candies from a cellophane bag. "Keeps the heat at bay," she said, her voice like warm tea. I took one, the mint sharp on my tongue, and passed the bag to Linda. The transistor radio switched to "In the Ghetto," and the crowd quieted, Elvis's voice heavy with feeling. I closed my eyes, picturing him on stage, maybe in that white jumpsuit from the posters. Would he sing this one? Would he look out at us, thousands of faces, and see me in the balcony? The thought made my heart skip, like a needle on a scratched record. An usher in a red vest appeared holding a megaphone. "Doors open in 30 minutes. Have tickets ready." Cheers rippled down the line. Linda grabbed my hand, her charm bracelet jingling. "We're so close," she whispered. I nodded, my throat tight. The pecan tree at the bus stop felt a lifetime away. We moved again, past a hot dog cart where mustard steamed in the heat. A boy in a beetle wig bought a knee-high orange, the bottle fizzing as he popped the cap. The line snaked under a banner for RC Cola, its red letters bold. I checked my purse, ticket, quarter, fan, comic, all there. The locket glinted as I moved, catching the sun. Mama's voice echoed, "You carry us with you." The radio played "Can't Help Falling in Love," and the crowd sang soft, a low hum like bees in a hive. I joined in, my voice barely a whisper, the words wrapping around me like a shawl. Linda swayed, her miniskirt swishing. The line moved faster now, the Coliseum doors yawning open, spilling cool air and the faint echo of a warm-up band. My shoes clicked on the pavement, each step closer to Elvis. The Coliseum doors swallowed us at last. A cool blast of air conditioning hitting like a wave from the frigid air. Linda and I stepped inside, our shoes echoing on the terrazzo floor, the sound swallowed by the murmur of thousands. The lobby was a carnival, concession stands piled with popcorn buckets, Coca-Cola fountains hissing, hot dog steam curling in the air. Souvenir booths glowed under fluorescent lights, Elvis scarves fluttering like flags. My yellow sundress felt too bright in the dimness. but I held my head high, ticket clutched tight. An usher in a red vest and black tie waved us toward a velvet rope, its gold posts gleaming. "Balcony this way, ladies," he said, his flashlight beam cutting through the crowd. His voice was kind but firm, like a teacher herding kids to recess. We followed, weaving past folks clutching programs and cotton candy. The rope parted, and we climbed a wide staircase, the carpet plush under my saddle shoes, muffling our steps. The air smelled of floor wax, buttered popcorn, and cigarette haze drifting from the smoking section. Linda's charm bracelet jingled as we ascended, her go-go boots clicking. "Feels like a palace," she whispered, eyes wide at the chandeliers overhead, their bulbs soft as fireflies. I nodded, my gold locket warm against my skin. The ticket in my white vinyl purse felt alive, pulling me upward. Balcony seat C14. I'd never been anywhere so grand, not even the Orpheum for the Christmas pageant. At the top, another usher checked our tickets under his flashlight, the beam dancing across the cardstock. "Row C, ladies, straight ahead." His smile was quick, practiced, but his eyes lingered on my yellow sundress, and I blushed, clutching my church fan. We entered the balcony, a sea of velvet seats and wooden railings, the stage far below like a postage stamp. The house lights were bright, casting a golden glow over the crowd. Beehives, crew cuts, madras shirts, all buzzing with anticipation. We found row C, my seat by the aisle, Linda's next to me. The cushions were worn but soft, smelling faintly of mothballs. I sat smoothing my dress and set my purse on my lap. The balcony rail was cool under my fingers, the view dizzying, thousands of heads bobbing, programs fluttering like moths. Below, the Jordanaires tuned up, their guitars twanging soft, warming the air. My heart thumped, steady as the West clocks at home. Linda opened her tiger beat, pointing to a photo of Elvis in a white jumpsuit. "Look at this," she said. "Reckon he'll wear this?" I shrugged, too full of wonder to guess. The concession boy passed, selling Coca-Colas in paper cups and peanuts in red and white bags. I gave him Daddy's shiny quarter for a Coke, the fizz sharp and cold. The cup sweated in my hand, leaving rings on my madras headband when I set it down. The house lights glowed warm, casting a honeyed haze over the crowd. Folks fanned themselves with church fans, Jesus or funeral home ads, or Elvis programs, their edges curling in the heat. A lady nearby wore a pillbox hat with a net veil, her cat-eye glasses glinting. She smiled at me, her pearl necklace catching the light. "First time seeing the king?" she asked, voice soft as cotton. I nodded shy. "You'll never forget it, honey. He's magic." The balcony buzzed with whispers. Girls trading Elvis buttons, boys practicing his hip shake. Mamas shushing kids with bazooka gum. My transistor radio was off, but Elvis's songs played in my head. Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, Love Me Tender. The locket pulsed with my heartbeat. Mamas love a quiet anchor. I pictured her shelling peas on the porch, the swing creaking, her Tupperware lemonade beaded with sweat. The house lights flickered, a tease, and the crowd gasped, then laughed. "Not yet," a man behind us chuckled, fanning with his straw hat. I smiled, my fingers tracing the locket's rose engraving. The Jordanaires sang a warm-up, their harmonies floating up like smoke. The crowd stirred, programs rustling, scarves lifting. A flashlight beam swept the balcony, an usher guiding latecomers. "Keep moving, folks," he called, his red vest bright as a cardinal. I checked my purse. Ticket, quarter, fan, comic, all there. The Coca-Cola was warm now, but I sipped it anyway, the caramel taste grounding me. The balcony rail vibrated faintly with the crowd's energy, like a hive ready to swarm. Below, a banner unfurled, "Welcome Elvis fans," in red glitter. My saddle shoes tapped the floor, a nervous rhythm. Linda's charm bracelet jingled as she turned a page, her miniskirt swishing. The house lights flickered again, and the crowd leaned forward. The encore waiting in the wings. My yellow sundress glowed in the light, the rickrack soft. The locket pulsed, the night ready. Elvis was coming. The balcony of the Mid-South Coliseum felt like the edge of a dream, high above the world, where the air was cooler and the lights softer. Linda and I settled into row C, my seat by the aisle, the velvet cushion yielding under me like a cloud. My yellow sundress fluttered as I sat, the rickrack trim catching on the armrest. I smoothed it carefully, my saddle shoes gleaming under the house lights, their polish reflecting tiny sparks. Linda's go-go boots squeaked as she crossed her legs, her tiger beat open on her lap. Elvis's face smiling up at us. My white vinyl purse rested in my lap. The ticket's weight a quiet promise. The view was dizzying. Below, the arena floor buzzed with life. Thousands of folding chairs filled with beehives, crew cuts, and madras shirts. A sea of programs fluttering like white birds. The stage was a distant island draped in red curtains. Microphones standing like sentinels. Spotlights swept lazy arcs, painting the crowd in gold and shadow. The Jordanaires strummed soft on the warm-up stage, their guitars twanging gentle, warming the air like a hearth. My heart thumped, steady as the West clocks at home. I leaned forward, elbows on the balcony rail, the wood cool and smooth under my fingers. The concession boy passed again, his tray rattling with peanut bags and knee-high bottles. "Popcorn, 50 cents, he called, but I shook my head, saving Daddy's shiny quarter. Linda bought a program, its glossy cover showing Elvis in a white jumpsuit, cape billowing. "Look at this," she whispered, pointing to a photo of him with the TCB band. "He's like a king." I nodded, my throat tight with wonder. The house lights glowed warm, casting a honeyed haze over the crowd. Folks fanned themselves with church fans, Jesus or funeral home ads, or Elvis programs, their edges curling in the heat. A lady nearby wore a pillbox hat with a net veil, her cat-eye glasses glinting. She smiled at me, her pearl necklace catching the light. "First time seeing the king?" she asked, voice soft as cotton. I nodded shy. "You'll never forget it, honey. He's magic." The balcony buzzed with whispers, girls trading Elvis buttons, boys practicing his hip shake, mamas shushing kids with bazooka gum. My transistor radio was off, but Elvis's songs played in my head. Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, Love Me Tender. I pictured Mama shelling peas on the porch, the swing creaking, her Tupperware lemonade beaded with sweat. The locket pulsed with my heartbeat, a quiet anchor. The house lights flickered, a tease, and the crowd gasped, then laughed. Not yet, a man behind us chuckled. Fanning with his straw hat, I smiled, my fingers tracing the locket's rose engraving. The Jordanaires sang a warm-up, their harmonies floating up like smoke. The crowd stirred, programs rustling, scarves lifting. A flashlight beam swept the balcony, an usher guiding latecomers. "Keep moving, folks," he called. His red vest bright as a cardinal. I checked my purse. Ticket, quarter, fan, comic, all there. The Coca-Cola was warm now, but I sipped it anyway, the caramel taste grounding me. The balcony rail vibrated faintly with the crowd's energy, like a hive ready to swarm. Below, a banner unfurled. "Welcome Elvis fans." In red glitter, my saddle shoes tapped the floor, a nervous rhythm. Linda's charm bracelet jingled as she turned a page, her miniskirt swishing. The house lights flickered again, and the crowd leaned forward, the encore waiting in the wings. My yellow sundress glowed in the light, the rickrack soft. The night was ready. Elvis was coming. The house lights in the Mid-South Coliseum began to fade, slow as a summer sunset, and the balcony held its breath. My yellow sundress caught the last golden glow, the rickrack trim a soft shadow along the hem. Linda's go-go boots stilled beside me, her Tiger Beat magazine forgotten on her lap. The velvet seat cradled me warm, the balcony rail cool under my elbows. My white vinyl purse sat in my lap, the ticket soft from my grip. The gold locket a gentle pulse at my throat. The Coca-Cola cup was gone, rolled under the seat, its sticky ghost on my fingers. A hush rippled through the crowd, starting in the orchestra pit. and climbing to the balcony like a gentle wave. Programs stopped fluttering, church fans lowered, even the concession boy paused, his tray of peanuts and knee-high bottles silent. My saddle shoes pressed the floor, toes curling inside the polished leather, the shine catching the dimming light. The Jordanaires struck a soft chord on the warm-up stage, their guitars humming low, a lullaby before the storm. My heart thumped loud, louder than the West Clock's Big Ben on my dresser at home, louder than the cicadas on Maple Street. I gripped the balcony rail, its wood cool and smooth under my palms, and felt the air thicken with anticipation. The spotlights swept the red curtains, slow arcs of golden blue, painting the arena in soft, shimmering hues. The crowd stirred, a low murmur of aqua velva, popcorn, and cigarette haze rising like incense. My transistor radio was off, tucked in my purse, but WHBQ played in my head. Elvis's voice, smooth as RC Cola, promising something magical. I leaned forward, elbows on the rail, the locket warm against my collarbone. Mama's love, Daddy's shiny quarter, my coffee can savings. All led to this moment, this breath before the music. Linda squeezed my hand, her charm bracelet jingling soft. "It's happenin'," she whispered, eyes wide as the house lights dipped lower. The balcony leaned forward as one, beehives tilting, crew cuts tilting, madras shirts rustling. Below, the arena floor glowed faint. Thousands of faces turned to the stage like flowers to the sun. The Jordanaires sang a gentle, sweet, sweet spirit, their harmonies floating up, wrapping the crowd in a warm embrace. I sang soft, my voice blending with strangers, the words a prayer, "Sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly dove." The curtains trembled, a whisper of velvet on velvet, and the TCB band took position, drums glinting, horns ready, guitars poised. A single spotlight pierced the dark, narrow and bright, hovering over the stage. My saddle shoes tapped a nervous rhythm, the floor vibrating faint. The concession boy was gone. The popcorn scent faded, replaced by sweat and excitement. I felt the locket, Mama's wedding photo inside, her smile steadying me. The balcony rail hummed under my fingers, the crowd's energy a living thing. An usher in a red vest passed, his flashlight beam cutting through the gloom, guiding latecomers. "Keep it quiet, folks," he murmured, voice kind but firm. The house lights dimmed to a whisper, the arena plunging into a soft velvet dark. My yellow sundress vanished in the shadows, only the rickrack catching a stray gleam. Linda's miniskirt swished as she leaned closer, her breath warm on my shoulder. "Ruthie," she said, voice barely audible, "my heart's gonna burst." I nodded, throat tight, the Coca-Cola's caramel ghost on my tongue. The spotlight widened, bathing the red curtains in gold, and the crowd inhaled as one. My saddle shoes pressed the floor, my madras headband slipping slightly. The Jordanaires faded, their last note hanging like a star. The drums gave a soft thump-thump, a heartbeat for the arena. I closed my eyes, feeling the locket, the purse, the ticket. All of 1972, all of me, waiting. The curtains parted, slow as a dream, and the spotlight flared. The balcony gasped, then roared, a wave of sound crashing over us. My eyes flew open, heart loud as thunder. The stage was empty still, but the promise was there, shimmering in the light. I gripped Linda's hand, felt her charm bracelet cold against my skin. The house lights were gone, only the spotlight and the red curtains and the thump-thump of 10,000 hearts. The night was ready. Elvis was coming. The spotlight hung over the red curtains like a full moon, bright and steady, while the Mid-South Coliseum waited in velvet darkness. My yellow sundress had vanished in the shadows, only the rickrack catching a faint gleam when I shifted. Linda's go-go boots were still beside me, her charm bracelet silent on her wrist. The velvet seat held me warm, the balcony humming with afterglow. My white vinyl purse sat in my lap. The empty cherry Coke bottle returned to the wooden crate. The locket rested cool now against my skin. A low hum rose from the orchestra pit, the TCB band tuning soft, guitars plucking, drums brushing, horns breathing low. Then the Jordanaires stepped forward, 4 men in crisp white suits, their ties neat as Sunday. The spotlight widened, bathing them in gold, and the balcony leaned in, programs rustling like leaves. My saddle shoes stilled, toes uncurling, the polish gleaming faint. The house lights were gone, only the stage glowing, a promise in the dark. The Jordanaires began Sweet, Sweet Spirit, their harmonies rising slow, weaving through the arena like smoke from Mama's Maxwell House in the morning. There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. The crowd sighed, 1,000 church fans lowering, beehives tilting, crew cuts softening. I sang soft, my voice blending with strangers, the words wrapping around me like Mama's chenille bedspread. Linda's charm bracelet jingled faint as she swayed, her miniskirt swishing, the locket warmed, Mama's love steadying my heart. The Jordanaires moved to crying in the chapel, their voices rich as pecan pie, the guitars gentle behind them. The balcony hummed along, madras shirts swaying, cat-eye glasses glinting. A lady nearby fanned with her funeral home fan, Jesus calming the storm, her pearl necklace catching the light. Brings back Sunday mornings, she whispered, smiling at me. I nodded, thinking of Mama's Tupperware lemonade on the porch, the swing creaking, the cicadas singing. The spotlight shifted, painting the red curtains in blue, then gold. The TCB band warming up, drums thumping soft, horns teasing, guitars strumming low. The crowd stirred, scarves lifting, programs fluttering. My saddle shoes tapped a nervous rhythm, the floor vibrating faint. The concession boy was a memory. The popcorn scent drowned in aqua velva and excitement. I felt the locket, Daddy's quarter in my purse, my coffee can savings, all for this night. The Jordanaires sang Swing Down Sweet Chariot, their voices climbing, the balcony clapping soft, church fans waving like flags. A boy below waved a handmade sign, Elvis, you're the king, in red glitter. The spotlight swirled, the curtains trembling, the air thick as sorghum syrup. My madras headband slipped, hair sticking to my forehead, but I didn't care. The Jordanaires were the calm before the storm, their harmonies a lullaby for 10,000 souls. They finished with How Great Thou Art, the balcony joining in, voices rising to the rafters. Then sings my soul, I sang, my voice raw, the locket glowing. The spotlight narrowed, the curtains stilled, and the Jordanaires stepped back, bowing slight. The crowd roared, then hushed, waiting. My saddle shoes pressed the floor. My yellow sundress a ghost in the dark. The ticket in my purse was my key. The night ready. Elvis was coming. The Jordanaires stepped back into the shadows, their white suits fading like moonlight, and the Mid-South Coliseum fell into a hush so deep I could hear my own heartbeat. The spotlight narrowed to a single beam, bright as a diamond, hovering over the red curtains. My yellow sundress was a ghost in the dark, the rickrack lost to the gloom. Linda's go-go boots were still, her charm bracelet silent. The velvet seat cradled me, warm from the crowd. My white vinyl purse sat in my lap, the ticket soft from my grip. The TCB band stirred, drums brushing, guitars humming, horns breathing low. Then it came, the first guitar chord, sharp and electric, slicing the silence like a knife through butter. The balcony gasped, then roared, a wave crashing over us. My saddle shoes jumped, toes curling, the polish catching the light. The red curtains parted slow, and Elvis stepped out, white jumpsuit gleaming, cape billowing, sideburns sharp as truth. The crowd erupted, scarves flying, programs soaring, church fans waving like surrender flags. I stood, my madras headband slipping, my voice lost in the tide. Elvis raised a hand, gold rings flashing, and the roar softened to a hum, 10,000 souls hanging on his smile. Good evening, Memphis, he drawled, voice smooth as RC Cola, and the balcony sighed. My locket burned warm, Mama's love steadying me. He launched into C Rider, hips swaying, scarf dangling, voice soaring. The spotlights swirled, gold, blue, red, painting him in fire. The TCB band roared, drums pounding, horns blaring, guitars wailing. The balcony swayed, beehives bobbing, crew cuts pumping fists. I sang, CC Rider, see what you done. My voice raw, blending with thousands. The rickrack itched, forgotten. The balcony rail vibrated, the floor alive with bass. Elvis tossed a scarf, sweat glistening, and girls screamed below, reaching like it was manna. I watched it sail, white against the dark, my saddle shoes tapping. The Jordanaires backed him, harmonies tight as Mama's corset, their suits crisp. The concession boy was gone, popcorn scent drowned in aquavelva and excitement. My Coca-Cola ring dried on my headband, the locket glowing, Mama's love, my coffee can savings, all for this chord, this magic. The guitar wailed, Elvis's voice climbing, and the balcony was a living thing, programs waving, scarves fluttering. A lady nearby fanned with her funeral home fan, her pearl necklace dancing. I felt it, the dizzy pull of his voice, like the Frigidaire door opening on a hot day. My yellow sundress glowed in the spotlight's edge, my saddle shoes dancing. The night was magic, pure and bright, and Elvis was its king. The spotlights dimmed to a whisper, the Mid-South Coliseum settling into a hush, like the moment before a prayer. Then a new spotlight flared, gold as sunrise, and the red curtains parted with a whisper. Elvis stepped forward, no cape now, just a gold lame jacket that caught every light and threw it back in sparks. The balcony gasped, then roared, scarves waving, programs fluttering. My yellow sundress glowed in the spotlight's edge, the rickrack a soft shadow. Linda's go-go boots kicked, her charm bracelet jingling, the velvet seat stuck to my thighs, the balcony alive with sound. Elvis raised a hand, gold rings flashing, his sideburns sharp. Memphis, you treatin' me right tonight, he teased. Voice warm as sweet tea on a summer porch. The crowd answered with a wave of love, beehives bobbing, crew cuts cheering. I stood, my Madras headband slipping, my voice blending with thousands. The locket warmed, Mama's love a quiet anchor. The band struck Heartbreak Hotel, Elvis's voice low and lonely, the gold lame shimmering with every move. The spotlights painted him in fire, gold, then blue, then red. His hips swaying slow, scarf dangling. The balcony swayed, Madras shirts moving as one, cat-eye glasses glinting. I sang soft, well since my baby left me, my voice blending with the crowd, the rickrack itching forgotten. The balcony rail vibrated, the floor alive with bass. Elvis tossed a scarf, sweat glistening, and girls below reached, their beehives crumbling in the frenzy. The Jordanaires backed him, harmonies rich as pecan pie. Their suits crisp in the light, the concession boy was gone, popcorn scent drowned in aquavelva and excitement. My Coca-Cola ring was a memory, the locket glowing, Daddy's quarter, my coffee can savings, all for this moment. The gold lame caught every light, a beacon in the dark, Elvis's voice climbing, I'm so lonely, baby. The balcony was a living thing, programs waving, scarves fluttering. A lady nearby dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief, her pillbox hat tilting. I felt the locket, Mama's wedding photo, her smile steady. My saddle shoes danced, the balcony a heartbeat. The night was gold, and Elvis was its king. The gold lame jacket had vanished into the wings, replaced by a black jumpsuit with silver studs that caught the spotlights like scattered stars. Elvis stood center stage, one hand on the microphone stand. The other raised in a loose fist, his grin wide and knowing. The Mid-South Coliseum was a powder keg, and he held the match. My yellow sundress clung damp to my back from the rising heat of 10,000 bodies. The rickrack trim tickling my arms. Linda's go-go boots tapped a nervous beat, her charm bracelet a soft chime. The velvet seat stuck to my thighs, the balcony alive with energy. Without warning, the TCB band struck. Hound dog, fast and fierce, the guitar riff slicing the air like a hot knife. Elvis leaned into the mic, voice snarling. "You ain't nothing but a hound dog." The balcony erupted, a tidal wave of sound that rattled the metal railings and sent dust motes dancing in the spotlight beams. I jumped to my feet, my saddle shoes slapping the floor, the polish flashing with each stomp. Linda screamed beside me, her tiger beat fluttering to the ground, forgotten. The drums pounded a relentless rhythm, the bass thumping in my chest like a second heart. Elvis moved, hips snapping, knees bending, black jumpsuit shimmering with every twist. The spotlights chased him, red, then white, then blue, painting the stage in fire and ice. The crowd answered, crying all the time and voices raw, programs waving like surrender flags. I sang, my throat hoarse, the words spilling out like I'd known them forever. The balcony swayed, a living thing, beehives tilting, crew cuts pumping fists. Elvis tossed a sweat-soaked scarf, and the arena floor surged. Girls pushing forward, ushers in red vests holding the line. The Jordanaires backed him, their harmonies sharp and tight, cutting through the chaos. The horns blared, the guitars wailed, and the rafters shook, wood beams groaning under the weight of sound. My madras headband slipped, hair sticking to my forehead, but I laughed, the locket bouncing with my joy. He spun, black jumpsuit flaring, and pointed to the balcony, my balcony. For a heartbeat, his eyes swept the crowd, and I swear they paused on row C. My breath caught, the saddle shoes froze in mid-stomp. Then he grinned, tossed another scarf, and the moment passed, but it left a spark in my chest. Warm as Mama's lemonade on the porch, the drums rolled, the guitars snarled, and the song built to a fever pitch. Elvis dropped to one knee, voice growling, "You ain't no friend of mine." The balcony roared, scarves soaring, programs fluttering. A man nearby waved a straw hat, sweat dripping from his brow. A lady fanned with her church fan, her pearl necklace swinging. The spotlights flashed, the black jumpsuit a shadow in the storm, Elvis's voice the thunder. The TCB band pushed harder, the horns screaming, the drums a heartbeat for the arena. The rafters shook, dust drifting like fairy sparkle. I stomped, my saddle shoes a drumbeat of their own, the balcony a heartbeat. The locket glowed, my white vinyl purse safe in my lap. The ticket my key to this magic. Hound dog was a wildfire, and we were all burning, happy, and free. The black jumpsuit with silver studs gleamed under the spotlights, and Elvis paused, wiping his brow with a white handkerchief he tucked into his belt. The Mid-South Coliseum settled into a hush, the rafters still trembling from hound dog. My yellow sundress clung damp to my skin. The rickrack trim tickling my arms. Linda's go-go boots rested quiet, her charm bracelet still. The velvet seat was warm beneath me, the balcony humming with afterglow. My white vinyl purse sat in my lap, the ticket soft from my grip, the locket a gentle weight at my throat. Elvis stepped to the microphone, his voice low and tender. "This one's for the lovers in the house," he said, a smile curling his lips. The TCB band struck a soft chord, guitars plucking gentle, piano tinkling like rain on a tin roof. The spotlights dimmed to a warm amber, bathing the stage in candlelight glow. "Love me tender," he sang, voice smooth as peach preserves, wrapping the arena in a lullaby. The balcony sighed, programs lowering, scarves resting in laps. I leaned forward, elbows on the balcony rail, the wood slick with heat. My saddle shoes stilled, toes uncurling, the polish catching the amber light. Linda's eyes shone, her tiger beat forgotten on the floor. The crowd swayed slow, beehives tilting, crew cuts softening, madras shirts moving like wheat in a breeze. I sang soft, "Love me tender, love me sweet," my voice blending with thousands, the words a prayer. The locket warmed, Mama's love steadying my heart. Elvis moved across the stage, black jumpsuit shimmering, silver studs flashing like stars. His eyes swept the crowd, slow and deliberate, searching. The spotlight followed, painting faces in gold. Girls in halter tops, mamas in floral sheaths, boys in penny loafers. My madras headband slipped, hair sticking to my cheek, but I didn't care. The piano played soft, the guitars hummed, and the arena was a cradle, rocking us gentle. Then it happened. Elvis's gaze climbed to the balcony, pausing on row C. His eyes, dark, warm, knowing, locked on mine. For one heartbeat, 2, 3, the world stopped. My saddle shoes froze mid-tap, my yellow sundress glowing in the spotlight's edge. He smiled. Just for me, a small curl of his lips, and sang, "Never Let Me Go." The locket burned. My white vinyl purse heavy with the ticket's magic. Balcony seat C14 was the only seat in the house. The moment passed, his eyes moving on, but it left a spark in my chest, bright as the neon sign outside. Linda grabbed my arm, whispering, "Did he see you?" I nodded, throat tight, tears pricking. The piano played on, the guitars gentle, the TCB band a heartbeat. The balcony swayed, scarves lifting slow, programs resting in laps. A lady nearby dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief, her pillbox hat tilting. The spotlights bathed Elvis in amber, his black jumpsuit a shadow in the glow. He sang the final verse, voice soft as lavender sachets in my pillowcases. "For my darling, I love you." The crowd sighed, halter tops swaying, penny loafers tapping. I sang, my voice raw, the locket glowing, Mama's love, Daddy's quarter, my coffee can dreams. The balcony was a cradle, the arena a church, and Elvis was its preacher. The song ended, the piano fading, the guitars silent. The spotlights dimmed, and the crowd roared, then hushed, waiting for the next note. My saddle shoes rested, my yellow sundress warm. The locket pulsed, the night alive with love. The amber glow of the spotlights faded to a soft rose, and Elvis stepped back from the microphone, his black jumpsuit with silver studs catching the light like a night sky. The Mid-South Coliseum exhaled, the echo of "Love Me Tender" lingering like perfume. My yellow sundress felt damp against my skin, the rickrack trim tickling my arms. Linda's go-go boots rested quiet, her charm bracelet still on her wrist. The velvet seat was warm beneath me, the balcony humming with a gentle afterglow. My white vinyl purse sat in my lap, the ticket soft from my grip, the locket a steady pulse at my throat. The air was thick now, heavy with the scent of aqua velva and cigarette smoke, a haze that drifted up from the arena floor, where men in penny loafers lit Winston after Winston, the tips glowing red in the dim. The spotlights swept slow, painting the crowd in rose and gold. Halter tops swaying, floral sheaths rustling. A lady nearby dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief, her pillbox hat tilting slightly. The TCB band tuned soft, piano tinkling, guitars humming, preparing for the next song. Elvis raised a hand, silver studs flashing, and the balcony leaned forward, programs lowering, scarves resting in laps. "Y'all ready for a little rock and roll?" he teased, voice warm as sweet tea on a summer porch. The crowd cheered, a low wave, and the drums gave a soft thump-thump. The scent of aqua velva grew stronger, mingling with cigarette smoke, a cloud that curled around the balcony rail like fog off the Mississippi. My saddle shoes tapped a gentle rhythm, the polish catching the rose light. The band struck blue suede shoes fast and lively, Elvis's voice snapping, "Well, it's one for the money." The balcony swayed, beehives bobbing, crew cuts pumping fists. I sang, my voice soft, two for the show, blending with thousands. The cigarette smoke drifted up, stinging my eyes, but I didn't mind. It was part of the night, part of the magic. Linda swayed beside me, her tiger beat on the floor, her mini skirt swishing. The locket warmed, Mama's love steadying me. Elvis moved across the stage, black jumpsuit shimmering, silver studs flashing with every step. He tossed a sweat-soaked scarf, and girls below reached, their cat-eye glasses fogging. The Jordanaires backed him, harmonies sharp, cutting through the cigarette haze. The horns blared, the drums pounded, and the balcony was alive, Madras shirts moving as one. My Madras headband slipped, hair sticking to my cheek, but I smiled, the aqua velva sharp in my nose. A man nearby lit a lucky strike, the match flaring bright, the smoke curling toward the spotlights. A lady fanned with her lace handkerchief, her pearl necklace dancing. The scent of aqua velva clung to the air, a cologne cloud from the arena floor. I breathed it in, the cigarette smoke mixing with sweat and excitement. The night thick as molasses. My saddle shoes tapped, the balcony a heartbeat. Balcony seat. C14 was my world, and Elvis was its center. The song ended, the piano fading, the guitars silent. The spotlights dimmed, the cigarette smoke curling slow. Elvis grinned, silver studs glinting, and the balcony waited, the aqua velva and smoke a gentle shroud. The spotlights flared white again, and Elvis spun across the stage, black jumpsuit with silver studs flashing like lightning. The Mid-South Coliseum was a storm now, the cigarette smoke and aqua velva haze swirling with the crowd's roar. My yellow sundress clung to my back, the rickrack trim damp from the heat. Linda's go-go boots kicked the air, her charm bracelet a wild jingle. The velvet seat stuck to my thighs, the balcony alive with energy. My white vinyl purse rested in my lap, the ticket soft, the locket a warm pulse at my throat. Elvis launched into All Shook Up, voice snapping, hips shaking, silver studs catching every light. The TCB band roared, drums crashing, guitars wailing, horns soaring. The balcony erupted, screaming girls leaping to their feet, hanky-waving mamas on their toes. Beehives bounced, cat-eye glasses slid down noses. Madras shirts pumped fists. I screamed too, my voice lost in the tide, my saddle shoes stomping the floor, polish gleaming. Linda grabbed my arm, her tiger beat long gone, her miniskirt twirling. The screaming girls below surged forward, halter tops flashing, go-go boots stomping, handmade signs waving. Elvis, I'm all shook up in red glitter. Ushers in red vests held the line, flashlights cutting through the chaos. Hanky-waving mamas stood on folding chairs, floral sheaths fluttering, lace handkerchiefs flapping like flags. One mama, her pillbox hat askew, waved a monogrammed hanky, tears streaming. The spotlights painted them in white, then pink, then gold, a sea of love. Elvis tossed a sweat-soaked scarf, and the screaming girls lunged, beehives crumbling, cat-eye glasses fogging. A girl in a polka-dot dress caught it, clutching it to her chest like a trophy. The hanky-waving mamas cheered, pearl necklaces swinging, church fans forgotten. The TCB band pushed harder, drums a heartbeat, guitars a storm. My Madras headband slipped, hair sticking to my forehead, but I laughed, the locket bouncing with my joy. The balcony was a riot, screaming girls in miniskirts dancing, hanky-waving mamas in muumuus swaying. A boy nearby waved his straw hat, sweat dripping. The cigarette smoke curled, the aqua velva sharp, the arena alive with sound. My saddle shoes danced, the balcony a heartbeat. Balcony seat C14 was my world, and Elvis was its spark. The song ended, the piano fading, the guitars silent. The screaming girls collapsed into their seats, hanky-waving mamas dabbing eyes. The spotlights dimmed, and Elvis grinned, silver studs glinting, the night pulsing with love. The spotlights dimmed to a soft twilight, and Elvis raised a hand, silver studs catching the glow. We'll take a short break, Memphis, he said, voice warm as a summer night. Don't go far. The Mid-South Coliseum exhaled, the roar fading to a low hum. The TCB band stepped back, instruments resting, curtains closing with a gentle swish. My yellow sundress felt light in the cooling air, the rickrack trim no longer itching. Linda's go-go boots rested flat, her charm bracelet quiet. The velvet seat was warm beneath me, the balcony settling into a gentle murmur. Intermission arrived like a pause in a favorite record. The needle lifted, the room breathing. The house lights rose slow, a pale gold washing over the crowd. Folks stretched, folding chairs scraping on the arena floor, balcony seats creaking as bodies shifted. I stood, my saddle shoes steady on the floor, and rolled my shoulders, the locket cool now against my skin. Linda yawned, covering her mouth with a polka-dot scarf she'd bought at the souvenir stand. "Need a Coke," she said, voice hoarse from singing. We joined the slow river of people moving toward the concession area, the balcony stairs wide and worn smooth by years of feet. The air was cooler here, carrying the sharp tang of floor cleaner and the sweet fizz of soda fountains. Concession stands lined the walls, red and white awnings bright under the lights. Folks queued for hot dogs wrapped in foil, cotton candy on paper cones, and glass bottles of cherry Coke sweating in ice buckets. I handed the vendor, a woman in a striped apron with a name tag reading Doris, my shiny quarter. 2 cherry Cokes, please. She popped the caps with a bottle opener, the psst, sharp and satisfying. The glass bottles were cold, beaded with condensation, the cherry red label bold against the green glass. I took a sip, the fizz dancing on my tongue, sweet and tart, the cherry flavor bursting like summer in a bottle. Linda drank hers slow, the go-go boots tapping the floor. "Tastes like the drive-in," she said, smiling. We leaned against a pillar, the cherry Coke cooling our hands, watching the crowd. Teenage boys in bell-bottoms joked with ushers. Girls in maxi dresses compared Elvis buttons. A family shared a bag of roasted peanuts, shells crunching underfoot. The concession area buzzed soft, voices low, the excitement banked but not gone. I sipped my cherry Coke, the glass bottle heavy, the cherry lingering on my lips. The locket rested quiet, the ticket safe in my white vinyl purse. A janitor swept peanut shells with a push broom, the bristles whispering across the floor. Vendors restocked ice buckets, Coke bottles clinking. The balcony above us hummed, folks returning to seats, programs tucked under arms. My saddle shoes felt light, the cherry Coke settling cool in my stomach. Linda finished hers, setting the empty bottle in a wooden crate. "Ready for more?" she asked, eyes bright. I nodded, the cherry Coke's fizz still tingling. We drifted back to the balcony stairs, the glass bottle's weight a memory in my hand. The house lights flickered, a gentle warning, and the crowd moved faster. Maxi dresses swishing, bell-bottoms striding. My yellow sundress caught the light, the rickrack soft now. The locket warmed, the night waiting. The house lights dimmed once more, a soft descent into twilight, and the Mid-South Coliseum settled into a reverent hush. My yellow sundress caught the fading glow, the rickrack trim a faint outline. Linda's go-go boots rested still, her polka-dot scarf tucked into her macrame bag. The velvet seat cradled me, warm from the intermission crowd. My white vinyl purse sat in my lap. The empty cherry Coke bottle returned to the wooden crate. The locket rested cool against my collarbone, a quiet reminder of Mama's love. The curtains parted with a gentle sigh, and Elvis stepped forward, black jumpsuit with silver studs shimmering under a single spotlight. The TCB band began soft, piano notes falling like raindrops, guitars strumming low. "Wise men say," Elvis sang, voice tender as a lullaby, "only fools rush in." The balcony sighed, maxi dresses swaying, bell-bottoms still. I leaned forward, elbows on the balcony rail, the wood smooth from countless hands. My saddle shoes rested quiet, the polish dim in the twilight. The spotlight bathed Elvis in silver, his sideburns sharp. Silver studs glinting with each breath. "But I can't help falling in love with you." The crowd swayed, a slow dance, programs resting in laps, scarves forgotten. Linda's eyes shone, her macrame bag clutched tight. I sang soft, Shall I stay? Would it be a sin? My voice blending with thousands, the words a prayer. The locket warmed. Daddy's quarter a memory in my purse. Couples below held hands, halter tops leaning into madras shirts, floral sheaths resting on penny loafers. A girl in a maxi dress closed her eyes, her feather earrings still. A man in a seersucker suit wrapped an arm around his wife, her lace handkerchief tucked away. The piano played gentle, the guitars hummed. The TCB band a heartbeat. The balcony was a cradle, rocking slow. Row C, my haven. Elvis moved across the stage, black jumpsuit flowing, voice climbing. Take my hand, take my whole life too. The spotlight followed, silver turning to gold, painting faces in warmth. My madras headband loosened, hair falling soft, but I didn't care. The locket pulsed. Mama's love a quiet anchor. I pictured her on the porch swing, Tupperware lemonade beaded with sweat, butter beans snapping in her bowl. The piano swelled, the guitars joined, and the balcony swayed as one, maxi dresses brushing, bell-bottoms stepping. A lady nearby held her pearl necklace, eyes closed, smiling. The spotlights bathed Elvis in gold, his silver studs stars in the night. For I can't help falling in love with you. The crowd sang, voices soft, 1,000 hearts beating slow. My saddle shoes rested. Balcony seat C14. My world. The song ended, the piano fading, the guitars silent. The spotlights dimmed, and the balcony held its breath, the slow dance lingering like a dream. The spotlights dimmed to a single silver beam, and Elvis stood alone at the microphone, black jumpsuit with silver studs glowing soft. The Mid-South Coliseum held its breath, the echo of Can't Help Falling in Love fading like a summer breeze. My yellow sundress felt cool in the settling air, the rickrack trim resting quiet. Linda's macrame bag sat in her lap, her feather earrings still. The velvet seat cradled me, the balcony hushed. My white vinyl purse was light now, the locket warm against my skin. The TCB band struck a bold chord, drums thumping, guitars ringing, horns soaring. The spotlight flared, and Elvis launched into Suspicious Minds. Voice strong and urgent, we're caught in a trap. The balcony roared, maxi dresses leaping, bell-bottoms stomping. I stood, my saddle shoes tapping, the polish catching the light. Linda's macrame bag swung, her feather earrings dancing. The encore began, and it felt like it would never end. Elvis moved fast, silver studs flashing, black jumpsuit flowing. The spotlight swirled, white, red, gold, painting the stage in fire. The crowd sang, I can't walk out. Voices raw, lace handkerchiefs waving, straw hats raised. The TCB band pushed, drums a heartbeat, horns a storm. My madras headband loosened, hair falling free, but I sang, the locket bouncing with my joy. He tossed a sweat-soaked scarf, and the arena floor surged, halter tops reaching, penny loafers jumping. The balcony swayed, row C alive with sound. A man nearby clapped his seersucker suit, sweat beading his brow. A lady waved her pearl necklace, eyes shining. The spotlights flashed, Elvis's voice climbing. Because I love you too much, baby. The encore stretched, song after song, the night refusing to end. Burning love followed, guitars snarling, drums pounding. The balcony roared, maxi dresses twirling, bell-bottoms stomping. Elvis spun, silver stud stars, voice blazing. Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising. I danced, my saddle shoes a rhythm, the locket glowing. Linda's feather earrings swung, her macrame bag forgotten. The encore was afire, and we were all burning. The spotlights dimmed, then flared, Elvis never stopping. Black jumpsuit a shadow in the light. The TCB band roared, the balcony a heartbeat. Balcony seat C14 was my world, and the encore was forever. The Mid-South Coliseum lights faded to black, the final spotlight winking out like a falling star. Elvis raised a hand, silver studs glinting one last time. and the red curtains closed with a soft sigh. The encore had ended, but its echo lingered in my bones. My yellow sundress felt light in the cooling air, the rickrack trim quiet against my skin. Linda's macrame bag hung on her shoulder, her feather earrings still. The velvet seat was empty now, the balcony draining slow. My white vinyl purse held the ticket stub, worn soft, the locket warm with the night's magic. The house lights rose pale, guiding us out. Folks moved gentle, maxi dresses brushing, bell-bottoms shuffling, lace handkerchiefs tucked away. I stood, my saddle shoes steady, the polish dulled by hours of tapping. Linda linked her arm with mine, her polka-dot scarf bright in the glow. "Best night ever," she whispered, voice hoarse from singing. I nodded, throat tight, the locket pulsing with Mama's love. We joined the river of people flowing down the balcony stairs, the carpet soft underfoot. The concession area was quiet now, cherry Coke bottles empty in wooden crates, popcorn buckets crumpled. Ushers in red vests swept peanut shells, their push brooms whispering. The souvenir stand was dark, Elvis buttons packed away. My shiny quarter was gone, spent on cherry Coke, but I didn't mind. The ticket stub in my white vinyl purse was worth more than gold. Outside, the Memphis night wrapped us in warmth, the neon sign dimmed. Elvis tonight, a memory. The street lamps glowed soft, casting pools of light on the pavement. Folks drifted to parking lots, Chevy Impalas and Ford Falcons rumbling to life. Linda's bus waited at the curb, its blue and white paint dull in the dark. We hugged quick, her feather earrings brushing my cheek. "Write me," she said, climbing aboard. I waved as the Mata bus pulled away, taillights winking red. I walked alone toward Poplar Avenue, my saddle shoes clicking soft, the yellow sundress swishing. The street lamps guided me, their light warm as fireflies. I hummed, "Can't Help Falling in Love," voice low, the melody drifting into the night. The locket rested quiet, Mama's love a gentle weight. The ticket stub in my purse felt alive, a piece of magic I'd carry forever. The city was soft now, Piggly Wiggly closed. Quick Check dark, Sun Records silent. A hot dog vendor packed his cart, the mustard scent fading. I passed the peach tree at the corner, its leaves rustling, and thought of Mama's lemonade on the porch. The street lamps stretched long, my shadow dancing ahead. My saddle shoes kept time, the rickrack whispering. At Maple Street, the pecan tree loomed, fireflies blinking like tiny lanterns. The screen door squeaked as I slipped inside, the house dark except for the kitchen clock ticking soft. Mama had left a note on the Formica table. "Glad you're home safe. Love, Mama." I smiled, the locket warm. I crept upstairs, saddle shoes in hand. The yellow sundress folded neat. In my room, the transistor radio hummed low, WHBQ playing Elvis late night. I laid the ticket stub on my dresser, next to the locket and Madras headband. The West clocks ticked 1:15, the cicadas singing outside. I slipped under the chenille bedspread, the ticket stub's magic settling in my heart. I hummed Love Me Tender, voice fading, and drifted to sleep, street lamps glowing through the blinds, the night still humming with Elvis. And that's the end of my story. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and leave a comment on your favorite Elvis song. See you in the next video for another old-timer story.